Taxi!
Thought it'd be a very fun and interesting and amusing topic on the...
Well, I am shocked already because you told me people don't agree with me, which is shocking.
I know, like, I thought...
He's pretty brutal.
I thought he was the savant, like, we should be looking up to him.
I think I am, actually. In terms of cabbie etiquette, I think there is... No, over the years I've seen it where people think they're in the right, and I think, actually, no, you can't be. And we had a small discussion, me and Dave, about one little scenario. So... imagine two cabs, and I seem to imagine this quite easily as being in the Strands, but there's two cabs coming along with their light on. And the first cab with his light on lets you out of Bedford Street. So you turn left onto the Strand, you're in front of him. Now, you're not the front cab, but you're the second cab.
Yeah.
So the second cab that was the second cab just now is now the third cab. So you can let that cab pass you, or you can skip a fare, or whatever technique you want to use. But the cab that was behind him...
Yeah, that's upset the whole order. Yeah.
Yes, is now not the second cab. Now, we're talking about if there's no division. That was the argument. If there's 3 or 4 cars between the two cabs, then it comes much clearer. But imagine there's no cars between the two cabs, but the first cab lets you out.
Yeah.
Are you the second cab or the third cab?
Are you going to be bothered and get involved in that? Or just going to
No,
let
I'm
pass?
not.
I'm
But
going to wave and pass, aren't you? I'm just going to say, don't let me out.
Don't let me out is the right idea.
What spurred me on to make this, because obviously there's never going to be any hard and fast rule. It's all about what feels right, etc. I got inspired by this. Have you seen this like posh bloke on Instagram, William Hanson, who does etiquette and stuff?
No, I haven't got it.
He's basically, I've read a book about it. Like, it's all like all the traditions of like etiquette, like why we, I don't know, like when you get like a fancy dinner and how you ask for the condiments and stuff like that. Like, and it basically the overarching principle is it just boils down to being a good human being.
Yes.
Like, what is the most like kind of accepted fair way of all of us getting along and all getting what we want? In the same way that when you go to the bar or at the pub or whatever and you get served. And, you know, one example I was thinking in here that we're going to go into later on was almost like when if someone was to get served at a bar where there's a sign that says no service. I mean, that's probably the equivalent of like a pop-up rank, isn't it?
Oh, what do you mean where the waiter's bring the glasses back?
Yeah, we're putting glasses back. Imagine if a geezer stands there, gets served. That's like having a pop-up rank, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't go in bars.
That's where you would go to get served. Definitely. That would be Dean.
No, that actually would be me. Yeah, that's true. But I don't have to worry about pub etiquette. Pub etiquette is not my forte. But you're right. And what you hit the nail on the head as well with is there's a secondary etiquette. What if something bad happens to you? What's the etiquette for something bad happening to you? And it should be just like, I've got too many other things to worry about to get involved with arguing over an affair. And it is always bad image to argue over a fare that's being taken.
It's got to be said as well, what you're about to talk about is in best controlled conditions. You're talking, aren't you?
Yeah.
If you was to swap that Strand with it raining cats and dogs, which do you know where that saying comes from? It was actually, it got flooded, didn't it? It got flooded and they drowned. That's what it was. So there was all cats and dogs floating.
Where?
So
Here in London?
It's in London, yeah. I don't know the exact thing about it, but I just see it the other night or something I watched. So then they was all floating or something, and they said, "Good, look, it's raining cats and dogs," and it's stuck. But anyway, it's raining. It's raining cats and dogs, and there's an old dear. Let's say she's 90. We're going to
yes.
And are you going to argue the toss? Just pick her up. Just pick her up. I don't care what order. I don't care if you go in front of me. Don't blind people, visually impaired, I suppose you should say, but people in wheelchairs. That's when the rules should all change, shouldn't they? The etiquette should change again. That should be like a trump card. Someone's got to pick that person up. Don't be saying to the old lady, walk across the Strand. There's a
you can't do that.
Or whatever. Walk up the road.
I did leave in the bottom of this survey. So for people who don't know what we're talking about, I made this short survey on Google Forms. I put it on Twitter for cab drivers to see it, fill it in at their own, anonymously, so it's not like a naming and shaming. It's just to kind of see a general consensus of where do we lie. And I've left a comments box below, basically saying, share what you think of this. And there's some good stuff in here as well about like what the general overarching principle should be. Like, does this disability come into it? Does the direction of where the passenger want to go come into it? All those kinds of things. So it is...
When you get onto the disability part, I mean, how often do you see someone drive past someone in a wheelchair?
Yeah.
And I would never drive past anybody, but it's not that hard to get out and put them in.
No, for me, I'm like, great. It's a good little break for me to just go stretch my legs and
Yeah, but
no,
telling a blind person to cross the road, Dave, that's not a good idea.
Well, this is what I'm saying. What you're going to talk about is a perfect sunny day with someone who's 25, fit as a fiddle, being able to say, isn't it? It's not.
Yeah.
It's not one size fits all.
And that's what I had to come down to when I made this survey. Because if I left too many options there, it would make too much of a skew of decisions. And then the results weren't that great. So I intentionally made it that there would be an A or B answer, or maybe A, B, or C. Yeah. Because if you put in too many, you can't get a good overview of what the average cabbie thinks, really.
Well, there are some bad cabbies. There are bad people who are in our industry, and there are good people. And I think that there's a bad attitude there's those that are aggressive and want to fight the whole world. And for example, small stories. Let's say you've ranked up on Park Lane outside the Hilton and you haven't noticed that there's a feeder rank behind you. You've pulled straight up thinking you're the first cab, but the 3 cabs have just left and there's one about to pull across. And the guy pulls across and he jumps out of his cab and comes to you and says aggressively, the rank starts back there. Or does he say to you, listen, mate, you probably don't know that the rank starts back there. But if you want to take this fare, you take it. Doesn't matter. But next time, know that the rank starts back there. Why can't we be more like that than coming up and then some people instantly want to fight you over what? It's a fare in Park Lane. It's going to be a £5 fare going.
Because everybody assumes they did it deliberately.
Yes, but we don't, do we?
No.
I don't think 9 times out of 10 you'd have to say that we probably didn't do it deliberately. Accidentally, you've done something.
Yes.
Yeah, like one of these examples I put in here was an example on Sloane Square rank. And
that was a hard one.
But some of the people on Twitter then said, well, I don't rank at Sloane Square. I don't know how it works. So obviously, like you say, for that same reason, one day they might go, I'm going to jump on the rank there. And they're not.
Well, how about if they don't know, why don't they jump on, if there's cabs there in the space, jump on and ask the cab that's already on there.
Yeah.
How does it work?
Yeah, but they probably don't know. I don't know what the rules are on Sloane Square.
I don't know. I'm following the one in front.
I mean, if the south side of the square feeds the station, does the north side of the square feed the square? Or is the north side of the square just a feeder for the south side of the square?
I believe it's the southeast corner is like the point most bit of the rank. And you start, well, I say start, but as in the back of it is at Peter Jones.
So you're feeding round?
Peter Jones, they all feed round. But then one person in the comments said, well, it's actually, they're all individual ranks.
That's the way I see it.
But it's not. It always feeds round.
You sure though? See, but now what we have is
I got very well acquainted with that rank during COVID. I got to know a lot of drivers in that rank, and we was all like, there was a point where you're outside the Sloane Square Hotel on that northeast corner, and if you get a job there, touch. But during COVID, if you then had to move around to that final bit, you just added like another half hour to your day. But like during COVID, so we was all moving around, we was all like regulars to that rank, yeah.
You didn't want to move around?
No, you didn't want to move around.
Why didn't you?
There must be a ruling on it or something. There must be something.
Oh, ruling of how the rank works. Yeah, that'll
so
be on the little plaque that says this feeds into that one.
What does it say? Because
I can't remember where the plaque is. Yeah.
Oh, you haven't.
I'm pretty certain it feeds round. Yeah, well, it's like that new one. I don't know if you know it, but it's popped up on Brompton Road to get to the side door of Harrods. So you've got like 3 cabs on the side door of Harrods.
Yep.
But there's a little 1 cab rank that's popped up on the corner of Brompton Road and
Hands.
Yeah. That's actually a feeder to those 3. But you can't even really see around the corner from where you are there. But I think a lot of people think, this is just its own rank.
Yeah, I would think that as well.
But you read the sign that says it feeds. But it's then weird because it's like, it's been designed that way, but then sometimes there's lots of things in life that have been designed that way.
So you come out that turning with passengers in the back, turning past the
your meter's on £3.80 and they're like, Okay, so Sloane Square.
Yeah.
You are ranking on Sloane Square and you are on the second portion, and I've defined the second portion as that northeastern corner, which is near the Sloane Square Hotel, yeah?
Yeah.
You can see on the final portion, so that's the bit nearest the station, there are 2 taxis. Now, again, if you don't know the rank, you can actually fit 3 cabs on that final portion. So, do you sit on the corner that you're on, because no one's behind you to budge you up, you can sit on that corner all day long, or do you always move up irregardless?
No, I'm sitting on the corner.
I think you can sit back, then, yeah?
Yeah, it was
What's the point of having 3 of you on one side and nothing on the other? You're not covering the ranks then, are you?
Yeah, well, that's the point of actually of someone put in the comments about what's doing best for the passenger. Ultimately, you're covering what's best for the passenger. So by there, you're covering accessibility if someone wants to come out the hotel.
They don't want to cross the road, do you? You're going to have to come off the rank and pull over to the left and get them. So they'll wave you from the street. So you're nearby. The other guy's got to go away around the square, so they're not even going to look at that. They're probably not... That person coming out of the hotel is not going to go to that rank. They're going to wait for a passing taxi to come past if there's not one on the rank that's nearest.
True, yeah. Well, I'm playing devil's advocate, and it's almost changing my perception of it. I always move up on the basis that if you're coming from the Eatons and I see there's a gap on the final bit of rank, but there's some geezer sat on that second one, I've got to go all the way around to get to it. But then you could arguably say that any rank, any full rank, you've got to go to the end of the rank and join at the back, like say King's Cross or something, right?
Yeah, I mean, I can see the problem. I would join the back of the extra little free cabs. You're sitting up, you want to sit over there, mate. That's your idea. But no, I wouldn't. I'd drive around. I'd join the back.
Yeah, and then that then forces the cabbie to then move up. Only once someone's behind you to move up.
And now I'm in prime spot of the hotel.
But it's an interesting one, yeah.
It is a hard rank, I have to say.
So nearly 67% of people said you should move up and always fill the space on the rank, irregardless of who's behind.
Okay. Are they regular workers? Because I have to confess, I have worked that rank. I have. But I am not a local. And I've got lots of friends who are local on that rank. They would probably know better.
Yeah, well...
You've said you've worked it enough to know that you'd move up.
Again, it's also circumstantial. Like, how busy is it? Like, if it's like a real quiet Sunday evening when there's not a lot of people about and there's not a lot of cabs likely to join, versus like midweek, middle of the day when there's going to be a lot of cabs joining that rank, then you would probably move up because you know that in 30 seconds there's going to be a cab come up behind you.
What if there's two cabs on that rank at the station corner and outside the hotel side, just you. Another cab comes round from Hobart Place, Eaton Gate, Clyburn Place, and then goes around the square, sees the two cabs, thinks, I could cheat on that rank, but I'm not going to. I'm going to go around to the back, joins you. Yeah. Still don't move up because there's two of you now servicing the other side of the square, two of them servicing that side of the square, and the rank is not full. So we still don't have to move up. We can wait there. And if I get a fare come out the hotel, I can take that, or I can move round. Once that rank is empty, there's no cabs on it.
I'm very certain in like the way I play it, or like the way I've seen a lot of drivers play it, is that with the cab behind you, that then forces that cab that's on that square round.
I won't. That he can.
I think it would me. Yeah, I think if you're going to cover them, if you're going to cover, it's one thing to hang back and there's two, and
it's kind of like Monopoly strategies, isn't it? Like,
when someone comes behind you and there's a space to go round, you should go round. It's all right holding back. And there's
you're not holding back on anything because the rank is not full, so there's not other cabs coming on. There's just you two on the south side, two on the north side, waiting. So you are the front cab on the north side, and if you have to move round, and you'll be the third cab on the other side. He then becomes the front cab on the north side.
What about the Shard? They're on the opposite sides of the road there, aren't they? There's a couple on the, let's call it on the left, on the near side by guys, and the other one
is a feed for it.
Yeah, and you can stay there, can't you? Like at the front of that one, and they often do. But once it becomes a space, you're supposed to move across the road, aren't you?
That
would definitely. Yeah, but you're in eye-lock. You're like lane between you,
and it's a small rank.
It's not the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Dave.
Would you move over?
You have to there. You basically need whatever the front of the rank needs to be.
There's one on the left. Would you stay one on the right?
It doesn't matter if I move over. I'm not taking the next fare. I am not the front cab. Whatever comes out, I'm not the front cab.
They do every day.
They take the next fare.
Absolutely, yeah. They will take the ones on the right. Will take the fare, even if there's two sitting in front of them on the left.
Like some have unwritten rules. Like here's another one, right? I thought about this once when I was ranked there. Liverpool Street. You know, you got like those two cabs at the very, very final bit of the rank, and then you have to do that little U-turn to get onto that final bit, don't you? So that's a split in the rank. Does that now constitute as a feeder, and you can take a fare from that?
No, again, I would do that. For me, is similar to your Shard one. I'm feeding on. I'm not the front cab.
Yeah.
So unless the passenger, which this is the thing that everybody should know, the passenger says, "I am not going to the cab over the road.
Yes.
I came to you. I want to get the cab." Then there's really nothing you can do.
Exactly, yeah. And that was one of the comments that came up like in this thing, was just like, at the end of the day, we should be servicing passengers, and it's what the passenger wants at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But that's not a reasonable excuse for... Passenger wanted me though. Like I know there's 50 cabs there. Yeah, it's embarrassing. Yeah.
So you might turn around and come to the front of the rank and say, "Listen, mate, with the passenger in the back, I told them to come to you. Yeah. They've insisted, and you're doing some explanation, but really and truly, I suppose you'd have to give some explanation because they'd think, oh, you just took that fare. When really you didn't. You had no choice.
Here's an example I didn't include in this that I thought of when I was driving around the other day. So, Trinity Square. You come under the back entrance to Fenchurch Street, yeah? So you're entering from...
Lloyd Street, isn't it?
Lloyd's Avenue.
Lloyd's Avenue, America Square.
Yeah, America Square. You're coming from that way, yeah? And then you see that there's a cab outside. Is it the Leonardo now that's there, that hotel?
Yeah.
So there's a cab sat on that little rank. It's a 2-cab rank out front there. And as you go past him, you've got the Citizen M Hotel up near Tower Hill Station. There's a little 2-cab rank there. But there's no one on that 2-cab rank. Now, as you go past him, you see a hand go up from someone outside that Citizen M right where that rank is. So if you was on that rank, you would have got that job.
Yeah, but that rank that you're talking about, the other one, is servicing that hotel. That's it.
Yeah.
It isn't servicing the street necessarily.
That's what I mean, though. It's not servicing the street, but like it seems like someone's been sat on that rank.
Hard luck.
Yeah.
Hard luck.
That's what I mean.
How far would you say? So you're saying service that hotel, but how far also would it be too close? So say they're only 50 feet away.
Here's the thing, right? You're driving along. Let's just go back to that scenario. You drove past that cab that's sitting on a rank, and then on that next rank, someone's standing there, wave you down. It's your fare.
Yeah, but
you can't tell that passenger, sorry, we have a service in London and you must go to the
You've just
cab
passed
here.
that rank. You're in between the two.
What prompted it is because those two ranks feel quite close together. Like you're almost just nipping straight in front of that driver and just going...
It's not a feeder. It's servicing.
It's not a feeder.
It's servicing the hotel.
Yeah, but it just happens to be that you just see the hotel in front of you.
How far business, right, comes into the thing of you're going to get tape measures out. Say like, oh, I was 3 meters past. I'm going to debate this in a court of law. It comes like... So let's 3.5 meters, 4 meters, 5 meters. You're suddenly getting to some ridiculousness. And really, again, what way is the cab facing? The passenger waved you. Technically, if the passenger waved you, it's your fare. If they don't know there's a rank there, you could stop and say there's a rank there. You want to get that cab out of some courtesy. But would you be in the wrong? I mean, I don't know. I'll judge that individually. And every time if it happens to me, I'm going to know whether I want to say, look, there's a cab there. Just, you need to go to that rank there. You ain't losing much if you did it. But it is very...
Close.
Yeah, you're not going to get a clear law on everything, are you? You're not going to get a clear decision unless you really go into the... we have a jury of taxi drivers to give a verdict and say, yeah, I think you was in the wrong. And you'd still have 7 to 5s and whatever decisions.
And someone come up with a different... thing that wasn't even considered.
Yeah, I mean, like
if it's raining cats and dogs,
yeah, cats and dogs. Balls off a brass monkey.
Where's that come from?
I know, actually.
Right, let me try and find one that was a little bit more contentious, and I was like, really? I did not think that. Okay, right, this one really surprised me. So you are light on, you're a lead taxi, and you're going down Great Windmill Street, heading for Haymarket. All right, as you drive onto the Haymarket. You know, you're the lead taxi. You think, right, I'm going to take the left-hand lane. Another taxi behind you is light on, but decides to take the rightmost lane of Haymarket. You're neck and neck with each other, but the hand goes up on the right. Whose job is it?
I'm going to go. I think I answered this correctly when I did it, but you're servicing your side of the road. The road is too wide. You can't service both sides of the road.
I think that's too wide.
Yeah,
that's too wide. And again, you've got safety. You can't be veering across left and right.
He's gone down the right. He's got the right side. You've gone down the left. You got the left side. That's it. Hard luck, good luck.
Yeah. So 65% said it's the other drivers. They were on the correct side of the road.
Yeah. So a general consensus. So now though, the funny thing is,
yeah, but there's 3 lanes in it, so I like to hold the middle. You know, like.
But you could. That's it. You could do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You hold in the middle, trying to get both sides of the road, but a little dangerous.
It just depends. But again, traffic conditions and circumstances. How many cabs are behind you and that. Yeah.
It is interesting, but what's occurred to me now is there's 35% of people that might fight you over that fare. That you've picked up a fare, you're neck and neck, you've picked it up, and then they're going to pull up and have a problem. Which the next etiquette, the secondary etiquette, needs to kick in, which is hard luck, move on.
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't bother me at all.
I won't fight over
It's unlucky. It's unlucky that you chose the wrong side of the road.
I remember I had one, similar to this, that it was one of those sort of learning experiences I had when I first got out, and that was, I was travelling along Oxford Street eastbound, and this is back when it was about 2 lanes, and I'm basically coming over to Oxford Circus. So the right-hand lane would take you down Regent Street, the left-hand lane would either take you left to go in Portland Place direction or straight over into Oxford Street. There was about 4 cabs, all with their light on, in the right-hand lane. and I just come up the left-hand side. I'm at the frontmost of that lane, and a hand goes up. And obviously, I'm sort of new to it. I'm like, what goes on here? Like, I've just overtaken like 4 cabs.
Yeah.
So I point it over to the 4 cabs, and this driver at the front of the other one, he was like a 50 badge or whatever. He goes, "Wait, cabby, you're a bit generous, aren't you?"
Yeah. It's Christmas. He's giving away presents.
Yeah, but he was POB and his meter wasn't on. I looked back at him and I said, "You're generous."
Give free rides. That's your fare.
Yeah,
That's
and I think it's obviously what I learned then. I was
Yeah.
like, okay, yeah, they've committed to that lane. No different, I guess, if you're on Piccadilly, heading back towards Piccadilly Circus, and you commit for the right lane to St James's, you've committed to that lane.
But a good cabbie, the 4th cab that's with his light on, waiting to turn right, would have seen that fare potentially walk into the traffic lights and quickly booted out into the left lane and shot up to the lights. But yeah, it's your fare. And also, I don't know if this was one of your questions, but you're sitting at a set of lights neck and neck, but you wasn't the first cab to a neck and neck on the lights, and the passenger comes street side. So you're for some reason he sat on the outside lane, which is not a good idea for a cab driver.
It should always be
inside
on the near side.
Now, what do you do on that then? Is it your fare?
So what the cabbie on the outside, it was the frontmost cab.
Yep.
You've come in on the left.
Yes. Would you have sat back?
Yeah, but
Sat
also,
back a yard?
I always usually do sit back a bit, yeah.
yeah,
I try and honour who the lead cab
Yeah.
was.
If
Sit
you
back
can
a
see
yard.
he's got his light on, you're coming on the inside, sit
Yes.
half a cab length back, so you could say,
Yeah.
couldn't you?
So that he
Go
can't
to
actually.
that
So
one.
if a passenger comes along and gets in your cab, he can't actually quite see it as they're jumping
Oh,
in the
because
back.
you could point as well, couldn't you? You could say, get in that one. Do you want that? Then
Yeah.
But if
Yeah,
you're
because sometimes the way you choose your lanes, it might be just because of what's happened on the road before you. Like there might have been a bin lorry there that's then pulled away. You're in the wrong lane, and
But
Full more
Dave's
cab.
scenario kicks in if it's a disabled passenger.
that always kicks in everywhere, I think.
So a disabled passenger, you cannot tell them, go to the cab that's in an outside lane of the road.
yeah.
It's far more dangerous. The lights will change. You're not going to get in and out quickly.
But if you're staggered back, that cab, you could say that cabbie, I just
I'll
want
pull
to
in
just
front.
pull in front and take this
Oh,
passenger.
you're generous, Tom.
Yeah. I like to be able to sleep well at night, all right?
That's always got to kick in, isn't it?
Yeah.
Disabled, elderly, pouring down with rain on them. You're not,
Cats and dogs.
You've got to say, get in. Just get in. It could only be £7. I mean, get the people in, doesn't it? Then?
Yeah, but a friend of mine, Lenny Woodward, always said, you never know where the next fare goes. We don't know where the next fare goes. You can have a £2.80 fare and then have a £500 fare, or it just lots and lots of £2.80 fares, one after the other kicking in. It's all money. You usually don't lose anything.
Very often a small one leads to a bigger one, doesn't it?
That's what they say, Dave. That's what they say.
Right, here we go. So if this wasn't anonymous, then maybe we could find out who some dogs were, potentially.
Ooh.
But, all right, okay. So you are light on, following another taxi that is light on. A customer hails the taxi in front, but you can see that the driver goes forward beyond the passenger to avoid stopping on a zigzag crossing. The passenger doesn't realise this and is now trying to hail you as the next taxi. So the options are, if I can safely stop, the job is mine. The customer did hail me next. Or instruct them to the job in front.
Yes.
The customer should stick with the original taxi.
Yes, that's an absolute obvious. For a start, you can't stop.
No, you can't stop either.
So
Zigzags.
you should slowly keep moving and
But if
wave
you
them along.
maybe you're far enough back that you don't get on the crossing. Let's just say they've
Or you stopped at the crossing. You're sitting there and they're at the door.
Yeah, I've had
What'd you
that.
do then?
No,
Yeah.
I've had that.
yeah,
with
like
police
someone's
cars.
maybe going across
You
the
can't
crossing.
pull away.
Yeah,
I mean, I know it's zigzags are in the middle of it. I would never pull away because if they touch that handle and you go, I'm getting over, you'll drag them. You have to let them on board, even though it's zigzags.
No.
You haven't pulled into the curb for the zigzags.
Yep.
You're sitting in the traffic flow, and they walk out and they grab the door handle. That's it. It's end off. They got to get in, haven't they?
I have a police scenario of that one, exactly that, in St Martin's Lane. I am actually on the crossing, and the police car's beside me, and they started getting in, and he looked at me and he shouted at me. He said, "Oi, cabbie, you should know better." And I said, "What can I do? They're in." He said, "Your door should be locked." I said, well, I can't drive off now, can I? Because
he
the
saw
door's
you.
open.
He saw you unlock the door to let them in.
That's even worse, though. With the door locked, they'll start yanking on the
And
door,
you'll pull
and
them
you
along the
pull
road.
off.
Yeah.
Which I'm
you
sure has
can't.
happened.
No,
I'm
you
sure
can't.
it's
You
happened.
must stop. You must not move. If you're already stopped, not you're going to stop. If you're already stopped in the traffic flow, and someone walks into that road to get
Yep.
now, if you do anything, it's going to be down to you.
Yeah.
You're going to danger that person. You're better off just to sit perfectly still and say, I had to sit still for safety. And if they get in, they get in. And they'll be safer once they're in.
Yes. But that raises another
that's my job.
thing with the police in a sense. Every incident I've had with the police, they've always been great about it. They've never had any policeman stop me and give me a ticket for the offences that we do by accident or on purpose. You have to say you're quite lucky in that sense. I don't know if they've changed. But you could nick a red light, get caught for it, but they won't ticket you. They'll just say, be more careful or whatever. Whereas general Joe Bloggs would get
I think other than the speeding, putting cameras out at 20 mile an hour, we're just right at the bottom of the priority of where they want to do.
Now all the people hate the old Bill.
Well, no. Generally, I think, they know that we're trying to do a job and it's what it is. So 96% of people said that instruct them to the front.
So we want to know who the 4% are. 4% of the troublemakers.
They're parking on zigzags everywhere.
Oh dear.
That's why it was anonymous, all right?
Did they get any comments? Can they put a comment or anything?
I did, but some comments at the bottom. Right, let's see what some of the comments came up. I mean, some of them more question specific. Some people were saying as well that by the way I made the answers, it kind of forced them to pick an answer.
Okay, but
I guess it goes into the nuances of how you construct surveys, right? But
that was my ex-wife's job, constructing surveys. She always used to say to me, every survey is actually fake. It always leans towards what data it wants to present towards the client that ordered the survey.
So I've constructed this manipulated my own benefit, is what you're saying.
Did you take part in the survey for TfL for the rickshaws?
Yeah.
Did you do that?
Yeah.
I did it, yeah. Do you know what I noticed on there?
What did you notice?
There was no option, because we're talking about how they're loaded. And TfL, we all know TfLs are loaded. They're completely loaded in the way they want. And I'll show you why. There was no option to ban or not have a rickshaw. Every option was about how you want it regulated. Yeah. So in other words, you're getting them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was telling in that consultation.
You see, there you go. They have the result already presented to them or what they want to get.
Well, my argument for anyone who fills that out, I mean, I'm sure the answer as us as cab drivers is fairly obvious. Mm-hmm. But if we have to have 2 MOTs a year on a mass-produced vehicle that's got God knows how many safety standards on it and is built specifically for passengers, and they've got seat belts and they're enclosed, and we've got an expert driver, what's the rickshaw got to have? How many times has that got to be checked over? Bolted together, cobbled together thing with an exposed 12-volt battery in the rain. No seat belts you can just fall out of. No specific training of where they're going or what they're doing. It just seems ridiculous.
Did they have a price structure or not?
No, I think they were saying, should it be a fixed fare? Should it be a metered thing? Should it be pre-booked, etc.?
Yeah, no option for banning. Yeah, what happens, I was just thinking then, people have had a drink overnight and they do get on them rickshaws and they just happen to have a few spanners or an adjustable spanner in their pocket. My God.
They always carry an adjustable spanner.
Well, they might do now.
I would do a 10 mil and remove the battery terminal.
A lot of cab drivers out having a drink on a Friday night with adjustable in their pocket.
What legal right do they have to stop or to make you pay the fare?
I have no idea.
I mean, I would imagine that you could walk away from them every time. I imagine. I don't know if they've got any legal obligation to pay them whatsoever. So whatever money they say, you owe me 100 quid or whatever, thank you.
Yeah, we would pay that.
No. I also do know this from driving the taxi, that if you offer any sum of money, then the case becomes non-criminal, becomes civil. Any kind of money. That the fare, I don't agree with your fare, I'm going to give you £1.
Yeah.
The £1 is a token gesture of money, but I have offered to pay for the job. I'm not running, I'm not bilking. You now become a civil case to get me the money out of me rather than a criminal case, which is that I bilked the fare.
Would that be the same in like a retail environment? I don't
know.
Pay that.
Yeah.
In restaurants, retail? No, it's not £1 though. It's contact details. So in a restaurant, you go in, you're not happy with the food. And
you don't even have to pay. You can leave your contact details.
Yeah, you leave your name and phone number or anything like that. Anything. You leave your name, phone number, address. You give your ID or whatever it is that the legal requirement. But then you can leave because it's a civil dispute. Yeah. You're saying I'm not paying for that.
Yeah,
it's a civil dispute.
I know in retail, if you went and bought like the latest iPhone and they ring it up in the cash register and it comes out as £10, and you pay for it, you get your receipt, you walk out there. They're under no They can't call you back in. You've completed the
But they can
transaction.
stop the sale. Though.
They can stop the sale
straight away.
But if you've paid it, got a receipt, got out there,
Yeah.
they're under no jurisdiction to be able to say, "Oh, we cocked up there. Like you got to come back. Like you've engaged in that contract, basically."
I saw this in real life in Asda. A guy bought about 28 tins of salmon that were all ringing up under the scanner as 1p, 1p, 1p. And he gets to the thing and he's bought them all. I've probably gone through and bought one and thought, I'm going to go back and get them all. And he's standing there and she's saying, no, we can't sell them. And he's arguing that that's the price of them. And they said that legally they don't have to sell them to him. They're obviously mispriced. There was obviously a mistake. So we don't have to sell them to him. Anyway, he had the right ump. Obviously like salmon. Thank you for supporting our channel. Thank you for supporting Wizan. Please like, subscribe, comment and hit the notification bell for any future videos.